Welcome to the TikTok podcast. The clock is always ticking, so let's synchronize our watches and dive in. I'm your host, Callie Brigham, and I'm here to help you make time for what matters. Hey friends, welcome back to the TikTok podcast. This is Callie, and we're going to talk burnout today. We're going to talk about battling burnout. Anybody just feel like I sort of targeted where your mind is, where your heart is, where your body is? You're just sort of done. You just need a break. You just need a minute and you're not getting it. And you're not sure how you're going to tackle one more day, one more to-do list. I mean, you're just exhausted with things. You know, I think that burnout can actually stem from overdoing or underdoing, or frankly, of course, a lack of sleep. I mean, why don't we just turn this to a sleep podcast right now? We've really been on a journey there, but burnout can come from a lot of different places. Those are just two of them. I really believe that it is becoming, if it hasn't already become, a bit of a crisis, especially with women, especially with working women, especially with working women who live in a social media driven world. There's a lot of pressure. So I just want to ask you if you have felt any of these things recently. Have you wanted to cancel plans and isolate? Have you felt like everything is overwhelming? Have you had trouble focusing? Are you easily startled? How about feeling irritable? Anybody out there? Like, oh, I just want to bite somebody's head off. Mentioned already. How about sleep issues? Maybe are you craving salty or sugary processed foods? Do you have headaches, panic attacks, exhaustion? Are you feeling inflamed and having digestive problems? Do you have anxiety? I mean, this is like, whoo, anybody already feeling a little bit heavy, a little bit depressed? Well, here's the deal. Chances are, if you're feeling any of those things, your body and your mind are trying to tell you something. They are screaming out to you today, and you are not alone. You are not alone. Here are some of the things that I just mentioned that could stem from burnout, could be a cause of burnout, could be a result of burnout. I was reading that 64% of adults reported feeling stress or burnout about work and money. This is according to the American Psychological Association. I'm surprised it's not higher. How about risk factors? Chronic stress, if unaddressed, can lead to burnout. 23% of working Americans feel burned out at work very often or always, and 44% feel burned out sometimes, according to Gallup. What about the impact on mental health? That was in some of the lists, right? It has been linked to mental health disorders, depression, anxiety. In the US, major depressive disorder affects approximately 17 million adults any given year, according to the National Institute of Mental Health. Yikes, you guys. I said this was a crisis at the beginning, right? Burnout increases the risk of cardiovascular disease. People who have experienced or experiencing burnout have a 79% increased risk of coronary heart disease, according to the Journal of Preventive Cardiology. 79%. This is crisis mode. And then just the weakening of your immune system. Chronic stress and burnout, they can weaken that immune system, making you more susceptible to illness and infection, which is literally the last thing that you need, right? It's a contributing factor, stress and burnout, to 60% of human diseases and illnesses. I'm going to tell just a little story about that in just a minute. And that's according to, get this, there is an American Institute of Stress. Can you believe that? American Institute of Stress. Oh man, what a depressing job, right? Okay, so are we all in agreement that this is a really important topic when it comes to where you put your time, how you schedule your time, how you feel about your life, how you feel about your schedule, how you feel about how you're living your life. So what in the world do we do about it? Today, there's obviously a lot of things that we can do, we can't do. You could probably go back to many of the previous episodes, maybe pick and choose something specific. But I think today, what I want to do is help us understand that there's a difference between your normal average stress, temporary stress. I think about, as I'm recording this particular podcast, my freshman in high school is going through his first week of finals. All right. And one of the things that we've been talking to him about is this is going to be a stressful week. I mean, there's just no way around it. It doesn't matter how much he studied or how prepared he is or, what a great student that he is. It's a stressful week, but it is temporary. And we're wanting to start to teach him at 15 years old how to handle temporary stress. While he's in our home, what does that look like? Making sure he gets enough sleep, making sure he's eating, making sure he's prioritizing. What does he need to do today? And praying. I mean, for crying out loud, like, oh, it was so sweet, you guys. As you know, we listen to worship music in the morning while the kids are getting ready for school. My husband's getting ready for work. And it was the first day of finals. And my daughter said to my husband, why don't you pray over Braden? So he did. And the song, The Blessing, happened to be praying. And I'm standing there. He's a head above me now. He's tall, but I'm kind of holding on to his side. And I put my head on his chest. And my husband's saying a sweet prayer over him. I know, like, every morning is not like this. I promise. There's still, we're normal, but I'm putting my head there and I can feel his chest and his little heart is just beating so quickly. I'm like, oh, my kid is stressed, but he's making it through, right? He's making it through. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about critical burnout that we really want to avoid. We don't want to get to that critical burnout point, or we want to start to pull back from it when we notice that happening. So we're actually going to have 6 questions for you today. 6 questions that, again, might have a different perspective on how to look at burnout, stress, whatever. Okay, here's the deal. Question number 1, first, am I really burned out, or do I just need sleep? Here comes sleep again. Hello, friend. Okay. You probably remember this from a previous episode, but just in case you need a reminder, adults typically need between 7 and 9 hours of sleep for optimal health and functioning. But at least 35% of adults get less than 7 hours of sleep a night on average. And of course, what does this affect? Our cognitive function, so our decision makings, our emotions, but it also increases the risk of developing chronic conditions, obesity, diabetes, again, heart disease. So it's not just about feeling well rested, it's about safeguarding your long-term physical and mental health and well-being. So that would be my first question to you. Are you really burned out, or do you just need sleep? And if you need to, you can go back, you can go to our TikTok Facebook tribe group. That link is always in the show notes. And you can go back to where we had that sleep study. You can go ahead and get your printable there. Do your own week of sleep. Non-negotiable. What time are lights out? What time are you turning your phone off? What time are you getting into bed? Backtrack your day so that you're getting enough sleep. So are you burned out, or do you just need sleep? Number 2, are you burned out, or do you just need to move your body? Exercise. So research is all about some statistics today. Research shows that regular exercise, and that can be whatever you want, okay? It doesn't have to be in the gym for 2 hours and, doing a hardcore kind of, CrossFit, whatever kind of workout. But regular exercise can reduce symptoms of stress, anxiety, and depression. Just 30 minutes of moderate to intense exercise, just like walking, cycling, anything like that. It will trigger a cascade of neurochemical changes in the brain. Like, don't you love that word? Picture a cascade of them. And this is going to release the good stuff: endorphin, serotonin, dopamine. Those are the things that help improve your mood, and they promote relaxation. It's also helping with better sleep quality, again, cognitive function, and overall resilience, moving your body. I do this every morning. Those of you that know me, you're on my team or we work together. Every morning I am out walking. I walk the first part and I work while I walk. And then I run home, jog home, whatever depends on depends on the day, and listen to a podcast, listen to an audiobook on the way home, and I can tackle my day. If I don't do that, if I don't move my body, I can tend so much more to burnout. What about you? Okay, so first question, are you burned out or you just need sleep? Second question, are you labeling yourself, telling yourself that you're burned out? See, that's a whole nother thing. What are we telling ourselves? We got to think about what we're thinking about. Are you burned out or do you just need to move your body? Number three, are you burned out or do you just need to reduce your stress? Now, I know you're like, well, yeah, obviously. Okay, hold on. Here comes a story. But first, I just want to probably remind you, because it is pretty obvious, that chronic stress not only takes a toll on your mental health, but we've already talked about how it weakens your immune system, makes you more susceptible to more things you don't want, illness and disease. So whether it is meditation or your quiet time, prayer time, alone time, whatever you call that practice that allows you to focus your attention on the present without judgment, that reduces those stress hormones, the ones we don't want, like cortisol, and promotes this relaxation and calm. So do you have some part of your day that allows you to have that quiet time? I'm going to really encourage you here. Now, not only that, but here's the story. So, my grandmother, many of you know her, Grandma Deedle, she lives in a 25-story condominium building in Hollywood Beach, Florida. She lives there in the winter, and in the summer, she goes back to Indianapolis and lives there. So my parents were visiting her, and they happened to run into a maintenance guy there. His name is David. So imagine he is the maintenance guy. Probably, a handful of people talk to him in the day. He's just a guy doing his work, right? Typical of my parents, they ask him, "How are you today?" And he says, "I am blessed and wonderful. And how are you?" And they're like, "Okay, this guy, there's something to this guy," right? So they start to talk to him, and it turns out that David has a physical condition. They couldn't exactly remember what it was. I asked him specifically, they couldn't remember, but a physical condition that literally stress can kill him. If he gets stressed out, it can make him so sick that he could potentially die from it. He says being stressed is a choice. If he wants to live, he can't be stressed. Wow. Like, truly, not an exaggeration. If he wants to live, he can't be stressed. He says there are givers and takers in this world. So when people ask how he is, he wants to give them joy and energy. I think we need a hashtag be like David. So I was asking my dad, who also his name is David, but I was asking him before recording this podcast just to remind me about the story of David. And I said, "But how does he do it?" And my dad said, "Well, he just does. He just chooses to." And so I think about all of the times that I am choosing stress. It's funny, I just had my 20th anniversary. And actually, at the time that this podcast is going to be airing, I am on my 20th anniversary trip with my husband, with our besties. We are in the BVI right now on a catamaran, probably doing absolutely nothing. Okay, happy 20-year anniversary to me. Anyways, but I was talking to my neighbor about the day of my wedding, and it was absolutely gorgeous. We were given the gift. It was May 8th, 2004 on Pensacola Beach. And I told her that leading up to the wedding, I just decided that I was not going to be worried about the weather. Because the deal is, how much control do I have over the weather? Zero. Now, we had a little bit of a backup plan if the weather wasn't nice because I understood the risk I was taking. See, so many times we go ahead and we put ourselves in situations that could lead to stress. Like, why are we doing that? Right? Why are we doing that? But because I'd put myself in that potential stressful situation, I just decided I was not going to stress about it. You're like, it's not that easy. You know what? Yes, it is. And no, it's not. I get it. And of course, the day was great. And if it had not been great, it still would have been great. And 20 years later, would I still be upset if it rained on my wedding day? I think I would laugh and love it and have some great pictures from it, right? It would not have affected my marriage, depending on what my wedding day is. Last little story about this I've referenced prior to a child psychologist and therapist who came and spoke to our school. And he also spoke to the upper school kids, 7th grade and up. And he said that if you tend to be stressed out about things, write down the thing that is bothering you, bugging you, overwhelming you, write it down on a piece of paper and set it in a place that you'll remember it and put a date on it. And in 2 weeks, come back and see if that is still something that you are stressed out about. So many times we're like, oh, yeah, no, that worked its way out. I mean, I just had something. My daughter came home from school the other day. She was really upset. A teacher had misunderstood her. She went ahead and already had apologized to the teacher after school, but she was still feeling some kind of way. I messaged the teacher and the teacher said, oh, yeah, we totally worked that out. It was not like Maddie to behave like that. And I realized now what had happened and we're all good. And Maddie just decided, oh, I guess I didn't need to be completely upset about that after school because I'd already taken care of it, right? Okay. You get the idea. Hashtag be like David. I am blessed and wonderful. How are you? I'm not going to be stressed because it could kill me. All right. Number 4, am I burned out or do I need to audit my goals? Now, this is especially for those of you that are listening to me that have significant goals professionally. And it could be personally too. Maybe it could be a health goal that you're working on or something along those lines. But I just want to ask you that obviously goals are essential for motivation and progress, but not all goals are created equal. So I want you to take a look at your goals and saying, all right, am I being vague? Am I overly ambitious? Do I need to adapt and adjust them based on my circumstances right now? Are they really aligning with my values and my priorities? Or am I just setting some random goal because somebody else is? So I want you to think about that. Is this really worth working for? Or do I need to cut it in half? Do I need to change the date? Do I need to reevaluate? And maybe in that goal, maybe it's just because you're not doing something that you love. And so you need to analyze like, what is it that I actually love and that I do want to work towards? Maybe you're not working in your strengths. Maybe you're trying to do it like somebody else is doing it, and you will completely burn out that way. You will completely be stressed out that way. Or again, remember the temporary, maybe this is a brief hustle season. I was listening to a podcast the other day. Amy Porterfield is her name. And she had a guy on there she was interviewing, and he runs an online magazine called Founder. It's Founder without the E. But he was talking about why do we not acknowledge that sometimes when you're starting something big, you're going to work hard at it. There's going to be the hustle. Eventually, there'll be the balance. So just know that there's a little bit of that in there. So ask yourself, am I burned out? Or do I need to audit my goals? Or do I need to honor that I'm in a brief hustle season, right? And that's just part of it. Like that's going to be a significant piece to it. Number 5, am I burned out or do I need to set some boundaries? Boundaries can help prevent burnout. When you have strong boundaries, you have less stress and anxiety and resentment. Setting boundaries, you guys, is not about shutting people out. It's about communicating, pre-communicating even your needs and your limits clearly and assertively. And when you have those boundaries, you have a sense of safety and respect and mutual understanding and trust. So you can go all the way back to episode 9 with my friend Molly, who is a licensed marriage and family therapist, and she gives some great little tools about setting boundaries, especially with people. And then last but not least, number 6, am I burned out or do I need to rest? And that's different from sleep. So, do I need to unplug? And we're going to do an episode on unplugging too, but we are so hyper connected and rest is a rare commodity. But taking regular breaks throughout the day can produce productivity, creativity, help your decision making, prioritizing restorative activities, sleep, relaxation, leisure. I mean, I'm on my trip right now because I know I needed rest. There's going to be some sleep too, but I needed rest. It's not a luxury. It helps you be resilient. It helps you face life's challenges. And if you remember my friend Charisse, episode 43, she talked about this and she has a whole podcast about this as well, about rest and restoration for yourself. So you can go and listen to that. So I just want to end by saying that remember there is different levels here. We've got some temporary stress and that passes. We've got some maybe normal burnout that you're feeling. Now, critical burnout, I really want to encourage you and urge you to get some help. Like if you are literally not sure how you're breathing right now, I want to be the one to say, seek help for that. Okay. This is not about risking your life and your influence in the world because you don't feel like you could ask for some help. So I'm the one today to say ask for it. But just as a reminder to really say, okay, am I really burned out or do I need to sleep? Am I burned out or do I just need to move my body? Am I burned out or do I just need to reduce my stress like David? Am I burned out or do I just need to shift and adjust my goals? Am I burned out or I just need to set some boundaries? Or am I burned out and I just need a little bit of rest today? So that's my encouragement to you. Ask yourself those questions. I don't know if you've seen some of those reels going around right now that says like, I don't know why, I just want to cry when I want this. And then the voice says, well, did you get some sleep? No. Did you go outside? No. Did you drink some water? No. Did you? No. Well, no wonder I'm feeling that way. So let's just have a little bit of some breakthrough with burnout. Let's examine those 6 things. And maybe there's one of them in there that you say, you know what, I'm going to prioritize that today. And I'm going to pull back. I'm going to pull back from some of that burnout. I'm not going to label myself. I am in control of the controllables. And this is how I'm going to battle that burnout today. All right. Thanks again for listening. God bless you. Go out there, battle that burnout. You've got this. See you next time.
Thank you for joining me on the TikTok podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and leave a 5-star review. Your feedback fuels our mission to help you master your time. Set your alarm for our next episode, and until then, make every moment count.